So, work rate problem, guys. Do you guys remember rate times time equals to what? Distance. This work rate problem is kind of similar to this. Instead of having it equal to distance, this time it's work rate times time equals to work done. So please write that down. This is a formula that you're going to use to do the work problems today. Turns out if you multiply work rate times time, it tells you how much work you've done. Okay. By the way, the work done is in terms of percent. So if I did 100% of the job, guess what the work done is equal to? 100%, which is equal to 1. Okay. Does that make sense? So work done is in terms of percentage. Okay, so in short, we write like R times T equals to, instead of D, it equals to W, like how much work you've done. Right. So in order to do your homework tonight, and not just homework, if you want to do problems that involves work, how do you, the most important thing to understand is, how do you find the work rate? So does anybody know, if I know the time and work done, is there a way to find out what work rate is? Yes?
Divide the work done by
Yeah, divide both sides of this equation. This is a equation, really, right? This formula, if you divide both sides of this formula by T, and so write this down. This is the most important thing you will need to know to do the homework for tonight. This concept, that work rate is nothing more than how much work you've done over how long it took you to do that work. Okay? So the work done over time is how you get the work rate. Does this make sense?
yes.
If we do an example, it'll make more sense. So for example, here's a question. Example 1. I can finish all my homework in 2 hours. Question is, what is my work rate? Okay, so knowing what we just told you, see if you can figure this out. That's a group. Go ahead. Shouldn't take you too long. Go ahead, everybody. So let me give you a little hint. It says I finish. It says I can finish all my work. How much of work have I done? Good. So 100% means what in regular number? 1. Who could tell me what my work rate is? Raise your hand. Yes, Melon. I see. Okay. So let's just use this formula and plug it in. What would you get if you were just to plug into the formula? You're right. It'll just be, yeah, 1/2. You said 50%. Yeah. So if you give me percent, that's not the work rate. I know what you mean, because in 1 hour you could do 50% of the work, right? That's how much work you could do in 1 hour. So work rate here is 1/2. If you had to put down the unit, it'll be 1 work, 100% of the work in 2 hours. Does that make sense? So that's your work rate. So in 1 hour, yes, you're right. You would do half of the job that you were given. Very good. So the work rate is half, 1/2. Does that make sense? All right. Let's see if we could do that in this one. Very same one. If I can finish all my homework in half an hour, what is my work rate? Yeah. So the previous work rate is half of work in 1 hour, right? That's what about this one? Think about this. So yeah, you're basically finding the unit rate. I don't know if you guys remember this from intro. How much work can you do in 1 hour? Does that make sense? Anyway, go ahead. Figure this out. What would my work rate be? Okay, I think none of you already have it. All right, who could tell me what this becomes? Kyle, what did you get?
One homework every 30 minutes.
So what's your work rate?
2
Work.
hours per hour.
Right, so R is equal to what? 2. That's right. Because it's 1/1/2. You're right. In 1 hour, you could do twice as much work, right? This is, like I said, it's unit rate. How much work can you do in 1 hour, right? So here's the work rate. If it's 1/2, right? If you could do the whole homework in half an hour, that means in 1 hour, you could do twice as much homework. Right? So yeah, the work rate for this will be 2. Is that okay? Does anybody see a pattern?
Yes. Yeah.
What's the pattern? Raise your hand if you see a pattern. thought I heard yes. Okay, not yet. Okay, what about instead of some number, what if it's X? What if I can finish all my homework in X hours? X could be any hours, okay? What is my work rate?
Oh,
Okay, yes, Kobe?
boy. And X hours was like 1 over X.
1 over X. So what's your pattern? What is the pattern that you see? Anybody? Yes, sir?
Like when you see like hours, it's always in the number.
Okay, kind of. Matthew? Yes. If you tell you, very good. If they tell you that you could finish the whole job, right? If you do 100% of the job within given time, it's always going to be 1 over how long it takes you to finish the job. Because 1 means 100%, right? So that's the pattern. So if they tell you you could finish all your job in X hours, it's always going to be 1 over X. Reciprocal of X, in other words, right? Yes, Anna?
What if you, like, I can finish half my homework in X hours?
Right, so if that's, then it's going to be different. That's very, right, very good. So if you could do half of your homework in 1 hour, it'll be 1 over 2 over 1, which is half. Very good. But a lot of times they will give it to you in terms of, okay, I could do the job, the whole job, right, in certain number of hours. Then it's always going to be 1 over. But yes, you're right. If they don't tell you that information, if they give you different information, yeah, you can just do 1 over.
Can you, like, put it in decimals? Like, do you have to put, like, 1 over 1 half or 2 over?
No, you won't fraction. It's be best if it's fraction. It's a fraction. Are you okay with that? Any question? Do we know how to find work rate now?
Yeah.
Okay. If you know how to find work rate, guys, this worksheet is going to be really, really easy if you understand this part. So I'm going to give you a minute to kind of explain to your group, see if you really get it. Ask your group, see if they get it. Go ahead. Okay, then let's look at example 1. It says, alone you can shovel your driveway in 3 hours. Your friend Amy can shovel the driveway in 2 hours. How long will it take you and Amy to shovel your driveway working together? So I would like you to think about this as a group. I would like you to first of all come up with the unknown. Go ahead, everybody try. Go ahead. We'll think about how to fill in this chart in a minute, together in a minute. Who could tell me what the unknown is in this problem? What is it that we want to find? 2 people, 3 people, 4. Emily, what do you think? Time it takes you to shovel the what? The driveway. Really? Because I know how long it takes me. It takes me, together, that's important. Very good. So you need to put that down. Let t, since it's time, let t equals to time it will take for both to finish the job. That is really important. It's not the time it takes me, because I already know what that time is. How long does it take me to do it alone? How much? It takes me how much? 3 hours. What about Amy? 2 hours. We know that. But what we're interested in is if they work together. By the way, would this t come out to be less than 2 or more than 2? It should be less than 2. Why? Somebody explain why it should be less than 2. Yes, sir.
So working together, so
It's be faster. If Amy was to work by herself, she could do it in 2 hours, right? So since I'm helping her, it should take, right, less time. So that's what we want to find. Okay, now, by the way, you see this box. There are 2 people that's working, me and Amy. Who could tell me what I put down for the work rate here? What's my work rate? Yes, how about Lindsay? 1 over 3. Do you all agree?
Yes.
Yes, please don't put down 3. Is that the work rate or is that the time it takes me to do the whole thing? That's time, that's not work rate. Work rate is 1 over time for me to finish the whole thing. Does that make sense? Malia, what about work rate for Amy? 1 over 2 is correct because it takes me 2 hours. Now, for this time, I saw a lot of people put down for me 3 and Amy 2. Would that be right? No. Why not? Which time are we talking about here? I even circled this. Am I talking about the time it takes me to do the whole job by myself? No. I'm interested in the time that it takes together. So who thinks they know what to plug in? Because I saw a lot of you wrote down 3 and 2 there. That's not right. Okay, because if you did, then you don't get any. You don't get any kind of equation. Chansu, T for which one? For me? What about for Amy? T also, you're right. Because aren't we working together? Right? Isn't Amy and I working the same amount of time?
Yes.
So the time for those both of us is the same. Okay, now, Kyle, what's the work done for me?
X of 3.
Yes, we just multiply them together, like rate times time equals distance. Instead of distance, it's work, okay? So you're right, it's T over 3. And for Amy, of course, is T over 2. Now, this means, let me explain to you what we just have here. This means T over 3 is how much I've done within this time given. And T over 2 is how much Amy has done the work. Does that make sense? Have we finished the whole job? Do we want to know when we finished the whole job within this given time? Yeah. So guess what the equation should be? The amount of work that I've done and the amount of the work that Amy has done should equal to what?
1.
John? 5? Why do you think it's 5? 3 plus 2. You're adding the 2 hours. The amount of time that takes me by myself to work. 3 plus. So you're saying it'll take us 5 hours to do the whole job together? No, because it's got to be less than 2, right, John? But here, you're adding the time together, but we should be adding the work done. Look, John, I have done this much. Let's say I've done 40% of the job. How much has Amy done the job of? 60%. When you add them together, how many percent have we done? How much? 100%. So look, we want to know when the job will be done, right? At the end, it should be all done, which means 100% of the job, right? So this is how many percent I've done. This is how many percent Amy has done. When you add them together, it should equal to 1. So this is your equation. T over 3 plus T over 2 equals to 1. Question?
You put T and T for the time.
Yes.
So are you saying that the times, both times are the same thing? Like they're equal to each other?
Okay, who could explain this to Anais? So in other words, why is T here and T, right?
Because doesn't that mean like
Now, who could explain this? That's a good question. Why do we have T for both of these? Is that basically your question, right, Anais? Andrew?
Because we're working together.
Yeah, they start at the same time, they end at the same time, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This time we're talking about isn't the time how long it takes for each of them to finish the job. I'm talking with this given time, right? We want to know how long it will take for them to both work together, starting at the same time, ending at the same time. Does that make sense? Go ahead, everybody. I would like you to ask, you solve, if you have any question, ask your group. Okay, go ahead. Everybody solve and ask questions to each other. So this does come out to be less than 2, correct? So what is our first step? Audrey, what should I do to solve this equation? Multiply both sides by 6, which is your LCD. Very good. So when you do that, you simply get a very nice equation. You get 2t plus 3t equals to 6. Do you know how to solve this, guys? Okay, you better. Okay, so it's 5t equals to 6. Did you all get 1 and 1/5? Yes. Now, do you have to turn them into hours and minutes?
Yes.
No, you don't. It didn't ask you. So you could just write down, it will take 1 and 1/5 hour, or you could write down 1 hour and 12 minutes if you like to. It's up to you. But if you're going to convert it into, oh, by the way, this is important. You have to say hours to finish the job together. Is that important? Because, right, there are many times that's given. This time, particularly, represents how long it will take both, if they were to work together, both of them, if they both work together, it will take 1 and 1/5 hour, right? Or 1 hour and 12 minutes. Any question? Do you get the idea, guys? Do you think you could do a similar question like this?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Example 2 is exactly the same, with just different number. Go ahead, everybody try. Okay, so what is my unknown here? How about, let me pick someone at random. Allie, what do you think? Yeah. Okay, let's listen now. Okay, guys, I know you're still working on this, but just hold on. Let's go over this first, then we'll go. Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Oh, not the work. Okay, let's declare our variable first. What's our unknown? Together. Very good. I said T. Is that okay? Okay, good. And so who could tell me there are two people that's involved here? You and your sister. All right, Judy, what's my work rate? It says it takes me 1/4 is correct. Emily, what's the sister's work rate? This Emily right here. Yes, very good. Now, what about the time for us? You and sister. Andrew.
T and T.
That's right. It's T and T for both, right, Andrew? Good. Savannah, what's the work done then? How much work have I done within this time? X over 4, T over 4, X over 4, yeah. And then what about your sister? That's fine. Who could come up? Who could give me the equation? How about Derek?
T over 4 plus T over 6.
That's right. How many people got this equation? Raise your hand. How many people are done already, finishing? Oh, a lot of you already. Very good. Okay, so what did you get, Sophia? What does it come out to be? Yeah, answer.
I got T
Two.
and 2 over 5.
Okay, good. So did you all multiply both sides by 12, which is LCD? And yes, so you're right. You get 2 and 2/5, right? How many people got 2 and 2/5? Raise your hand. Easy enough?
Yeah.
All right, so we should write this. What should the sentence be? Judy, how should we answer this question? That's right. Okay, to do for both to finish the job 100%. Does that make sense? Harrison, do you get this?
Yes.
Now, do you think your homework is always going to be like this every time? No, they're gonna make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so let's look at example 3. Let's have it's not that bad. It says Jay can rake our lawn in 50 minutes, and I can do it in 40. If he rakes for 5 minutes before I join him, how long would it take us to finish? How are they making it a little bit more interesting than before? Emily? Yeah, they don't start at the same time, do they? Who works more, me or Jake? Jake does. Okay, keep that in mind as you do this one. Go ahead, everybody try it as a group. Try it. Aaron, what did you say? How did you declare? What is our unknown, Aaron?
How long it will take to finish. After you join.
Lara, do you agree? What did you write? Oh.
I know.
We're supposed to work as a group, so Elizabeth, can you help her out? Jake's time. Are we looking for Jake's time? It says how long will it take us to finish? Are we looking for Jake's time? You could do it that way, but I don't know if that's the most straightforward way. Cameron?
So when x equals the amount of time we're working together.
That's right. Guys, isn't this what we're asking?
Wait, that's what I said.
Not quite. Yeah, say it again. What did you say?
I said how long it will take to finish.
Yeah, if you say how long it will take him to finish, well, what do you mean? Well, Jay could do this in 50 minutes by himself? You didn't say anything about them both working together, you see? That's important. Because we're looking for the time, not the time that how long it takes them to work by themselves, but how long it will take both of them to work together. Elizabeth, did you have a question? Yes, it's the same thing. Guys, this time is same as how much you've worked. Isn't that right, guys? Hello? Isn't this same time, isn't this T same as how much you've worked within this project, right? Because, yes, Jake worked 5 minutes before. So, first of all, a lot of you were kind of concerned because things were in minutes. For these work rate problem, it's okay if everything's in minutes, okay? You don't have to convert it into hours. You can, but you don't need to, okay? Everything's just in terms of minutes, so you could do everything in terms of minutes. Unlike those RTD, right? Rate times time equals distance. You have to follow the rate in terms of its unit. But here, all the everything is in terms of minutes, you could just keep him in terms of minutes. So, Malia, what's the work rate for Jake? Say it again. 1/5? Is that how long it takes? 1/50 is correct. What about your work rate? How about Chansu? 1/40. Would you all agree, guys? Now, when does that 5-minute play here? So for time for Jake, what's the time for Jake? How about, yes, Judy? That's correct. So I wrote t plus 5, isn't that right? Same thing. So it's going to be work rate times time gives you the work done. What about time for you? How much have you worked? Okay, Sophia? What is the time for yourself? Is it t minus 5? It should just be, what do you guys think? How many people, raise your hand, how many people think it's just going to be t minus 5? How many think it's going to be t?
I think T.
Why should it be t? You're right, it's just t. Sophia, why should it just be t?
I did T minus 5 and it worked too.
What was your Jake's time? What was time for Jake?
Was T.
Okay, if you let t be Jake's time, then yes, your time was t minus 5. But are we looking for time where they both work together? If you say let t be how much Jake worked, then you have to subtract 5 from that, right? Because look at what they're asking. How long would it take us to both finish? Us to finish, right? Us meaning both of them. So shouldn't t be how long both of them work together? Okay, so does this make sense? Now, what's the equation, Harrison?
1/50x plus 1/40x minus 5/40.
Say it again.
1/50x plus.
1/50x?
Oh, okay. Okay. 1/50 parentheses t plus 5 plus 1/40 parentheses t plus 1.
That's right. So when you add the work of guys, how much Jake has worked plus how much I've worked, it should equal to 1 again, right? Would you all agree? Okay. Does anybody need more time to finish? No? You got a question? Yeah.
Well, like the equation always equal 1.
That's a good question. 90% of the time you will, because they most of the time ask how long would it take for them to finish the job, whatever. Because they're always looking for like when they will finish the whole thing. But no, they could kind of get creative there. Yeah. They could ask for how long it would take them to finish half of the job or something, or then it'll be 1/2. You see what I mean? But yeah, most of the times it'll be 1. But I can't say it every time. Okay. All right. So anybody need more time to finish? No? Okay. Shurag, what did you guys get?
I got 20.
20. Anybody agree? Anybody have a different answer? How many people got 20? Raise your hand. Okay, good. You're right. It is 20. So did you all multiply both sides by 200? Your LCD. So you get 20 is right. So it would take for both of them to finish, right? It would take 20 minutes for both of them to finish. So how long does Jake work? Raise your hand if you think you know this. If I would ask, how long did Jake work? What would you say? Yes, Kristen. 25 minutes. Is it 25 minutes or 15? It's 25. Jake worked 5 more minutes. Does that make sense, guys? Any question? Easy. Is this easy? Are we ready for the last one then? All right. We're not? Okay, I'll give you some more time. All right, guys. What about example 4? Let's see how they get a little bit more creative here. It's not that much creative. It's really similar, right, Kobe? Kobe, can you read this for us?
Bill can paint the garage in 12 hours, and Rick can do it in 10 hours. They work together for 3 hours. How long will it take Rick to finish the job alone?
There you go. Now, this one's a little bit different, isn't it? How is this different than the previous one? Judy?
You want to find out like how long it'll finish the job alone.
Right. This time, what's our variable? Yes, Owen?
How long will it take Rick to finish?
Yeah, how long it will take the Rick to finish the job alone? No, don't we already know that? It says Rick can do it in 10 hours. Isn't it 10?
No.
Why not? It says Rick can finish in 10 hours. Isn't that what they're asking? No, that's not the answer. Why not? Who can answer that? Right? Look, it says, look, Rick can do it in 10 hours. It says, how long would it take Rick to finish the job alone? See, Rick can do it in 10 hours. Why not? Chansu? They work together for 3 hours, right? Oh, so that means it's 7 hours, right? Because 10 minus 3 is 7. Shrug, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I get it wrong. No. It's not. Why not? Why isn't it 7 hours? It sounds like it's 7, right, Shrug? Because, right, they work for 3 hours. 10 minus 3 is 7. Why not? You guys laugh, but that's what a lot of people write on the test. Okay? Why not? Think about this. You have to understand why it's not 7. Emily.
Because Phil works at a different rate.
Yes, it's because Phil and Rick works together for 3 hours. Shrug, does that make sense? If Phil wasn't there at all, you're right. If Rick works for 3 hours, then how long does it take him to finish? For 7 more hours. But because Phil helps him out for 3 hours, it's going to change, right? It's going to be less than 7 hours. Does that make sense, guys? See if you can figure this out. Go ahead, everybody try. Hey guys, it seems like people are still kind of confused. Okay, how long does Phil work? 3 hours, right? And what does he do after that? I guess he leaves because he's not doing any work, is he? Right? And then what's Rick doing? He's still working, right? Because it's probably Rick's house. You know what I mean? Like Rick said, hey Phil, come on out, help me out. Phil said, okay, I can only help you out for 3 hours. And then he leaves, right? And Rick has to finish this whole job. Do you understand what's going on? Some of you are still kind of confused with that. Okay, go ahead. Go, keep working. How long again? Okay, first of all, what's our unknown? Sarah? Shh. Guys, hold on a second. People not paying attention? Okay, go ahead. That's right. It says how long would it take the Rick to finish the whole rest of the work, right? Because they work together for 3 hours. Okay, by this time, you should all know the work rate for Phil, right? And Rick. Would you not agree? It's 1/20. Now, how long does Phil work?
3 hours.
3 hours only. How long does Rick work? 3 plus T. Guys, because Phil and Rick, they work together for 3 hours, both of them. And then Rick has to finish the whole job by himself because Phil leaves, apparently. Or he stops working. Okay? So, now the equation is this. When you add them together, it should equal to 1. Correct? When you solve, guys, when you solve, what do we get? Go ahead, everybody try. How many people got here 9/2? That's the answer. Raise your hand. Good. Not all of you, but do you see how you multiply both sides by 20? That means after Phil left, Rick has to work how much? 4.5 hours. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay?